My name is Andrew McMasters, and I am an actor. I have a BA in theater, and I also have an MFA in drama. And I know what you're thinking. That makes me completely unhireable. And I get that. That's all right. However, what I do want to tell you, my headshot, what I do want to tell you is what I have learned through my training as an actor and my work as an actor. And to begin with that, I kind of have to tell the story about how I got into this. When I was looking for colleges at that time, my mother was working at a law firm in downtown Philadelphia. And she came home and she said one of the lawyers there, who was a partner in the firm, had just up and quit. Just gave up the entire law firm. And he went to go to work playing the tuba at the Philadelphia Philharmonic, which was his life's dream. And she came to me and said, you know, if you don't do what you want now, it's going to come back and find you. So I put aside all the applications for colleges that I had for biomedical engineering, and instead I looked at theater. Yay. But what have I learned from this? And here's the thing is, by going to school for theater and learning and being an actor, I've learned a couple of great lessons. And one of the big lessons that I learned more than anything else is that action. Commit to action. Do it. The joke that I will tell all the time around my office is, how many actors does it take to screw in a light bulb? 6. 1 to do it, 5 to stand around and say, I could have done it better if I had been given a chance. Right? If you want to screw in the light bulb, screw in the light bulb. Commit to action. The other one is expectations, right? No one is really going to give you anything. You should be grateful for whatever you receive. No one is going to hand you the light bulb to screw in. If you want to screw in the light bulb, do it yourself. And the last one is a little bit difficult because you have chosen a profession that is very difficult to make a living. So you're going to have to work harder. You're going to have to work harder than your friends. You're going to have to constantly work to make this happen. So with these ideas in mind, I kind of thought to myself, well, what do you do? I can sit around and I can wait for the phone to ring, which is what a lot of actors will do, or I could go out and I could actually make my own work. And I figured if I make my own work, then I get to control my own artistic future and my own financial future. So at that time, I actually created Jet City Improv with my co-founder, Mike Christensen. This was 1992. We started the company with the whole idea of, now we get to get on stage. Yay! I'm an actor. Woo! All right? And then we started doing shows every once in a while, and then we did a couple shows a week, and the next thing you know, we're doing more shows and more shows and more shows, and currently we do 5 to 6 shows a week, 52 weeks a year. A lot of shows. So after a while, we're doing so many shows, and I started to learn something different, which was about the improv work we were doing. And that changed a little bit about how I thought about the world. The main lessons that we talk about in improv all the time is that it is not about the individual. My job is to make my scene partner look good. If I'm making them look good, then I'm doing my job. And in fact, it even goes so far as to, if the audience laughed at something I said, it wasn't me. It's actually the fact that the rest of the team set me up so I could say that. So it is about the group. It's not about the individual. The other thing is that I learned how to fully listen. And listen completely. Not just with my ears, but to listen with your entire body. And then to be able to react to whatever I heard. The next lesson is the big lesson in improv that we talk about, and it's the ability to, once I hear something, how do I accept that offer? And then how do I build on it? And the shorthand for that is yes and. How do I hear the offer? How do I accept it? How do I build on it? And the last one, I think, is the one that is the most difficult at times, and it's that everything is an offer. How I feel about what happened, that's my own judgment. If it happened, it's real. I can either accept it or I can block it. And that's my choice. So with these ideas in mind, we're doing comedy. Woo! Things started to change a little bit. And about this time, the company pivoted. We got addressed by one of our performers who said, I heard about this camp. At that time, it was run by the Northwest Burn Foundation. It was called Camp Ayabsut, and it's for kids who have been severely burned. And so he said, we should go out and we should do a show for these kids. And we thought, okay, that's a great idea. So we contacted the camp, and they sat us down and said, you're doing improv. Let me tell you the things you shouldn't say. And they listed all this stuff we shouldn't say. We said, okay, great. And we walked out in front of a large group of kids. And of course, it's improv, so we asked for suggestions from the audience. So we said, okay, give me something that you see lying around the house. And the kids at the burn camp said, matches. Yeah. So we're like, okay, give me something you see every single day. And they said, firemen. So yeah, we got a little freaked out. And at that point, though, we realized that, again, the show isn't about us, right? The show is about them, and the show is for them. We had to let go of our plan, and we had to do what we needed to do for this audience. And once we did that, the show worked out beautifully. We have done that camp every year since that time. This led to then us doing other camps, and then finally going to a homeless shelter. One of our board members was involved in a homeless shelter and said, you should come in and do a show. And I said, well, what if we come in and do a workshop? So we walked in, and here's an entire group of kids, their hoodie pulled down over their eyes, looking down. And we started to play some games, and by the end of about an hour, their eyes were up, and they're smiling, and they're laughing, and they're making eye contact with people. And so I thought to myself, wow, in the space of an hour, we were able to do that for some kids. I mean, if that's possible, what else is possible? So that led us to then start working at the juvenile detention facility. We started working with incarcerated youth at the King County Juvenile Detention Facility, and we went in and did weekly classes. And again, a hard sell, because I go to my teaching artists and say, hey, we're going to go to prison. Woo, right? One of my instructors loved to tell the story about a game they would play, which was a naive interrogation. One of the prisoners would be endowed with what they did, for their crime, like ripping the tag off the mattress, or chewing gum under the moonlight, whatever it is, just something ridiculous. And they wouldn't know what their crime is, but they would have to walk in, and two of the other inmates would then be interrogating them as if they were police officers, and giving them clues so that then they could eventually commit to the crime. We played this game in prison. Right. And again, it's not about us, right? It is about them. What are we doing? How are we reflecting what they need? What are we providing them? It reminds me of when I was in graduate school. My teacher, Steve Pearson, was directing a show, and I was involved in it, and very physical activity that we had to do. Lots of running and jumping and climbing up, just very difficult physical activity. And at one point, we finished the scene, and he looked at me and he said, do it again. Okay, so I did it again. Again, very physical, and at the end, he looks at me and he says, yeah, great, do it again. So we kept running through the scene. And it got to a number of times going through, and I'm starting to get tired, and I'm exhausted, and I'm exasperated, and I'm like, what do you want me to do? And he looks at me and he says, I want you to do it again. The point was, I wasn't going to learn by reading about it or by having him tell me how to do it. I was going to learn by doing it. So do it again. When we started doing the work, working with incarcerated youth and with homeless youth, and we started doing this work with kids' camps, there was no manual. And if anyone did tell us what to do, they were usually wrong. So we learned from whatever we did wrong, and then we did it again. And we continued to do it. Last year, we visited a bunch of different camps, and we did 22 performances all over Western Washington as Jet City Improv. These are children's camps for bereavement camps. Kids who are going through cancer treatments. Again, the burn camp, Camp Ayabsut. Lots of other camps. We also provided free weekly classes at the King County Juvenile Detention Facility. We provided free weekly classes for homeless youth in the University District. And we actually started a brand new program that's working with kids who are going through a drug treatment program as well. This year, Jet City Improv celebrates 25 years of being here in Seattle. As a founder, I am extremely proud of what we've been able to do, and I am astounded at the work of this company. things have gone on for me a little bit, and now I work actually in a lot of organizations, working with some business leaders, and I come in and I help people with their communication, their presentation skills, and innovation. And inevitably, when I walk into a company, there is a business leader or a CEO who comes to me and says, "You have to help me. My kid wants to go into theater. What do I do?" And I tell them, you let them, right? Because they are going to learn more about leadership, presence, and communication than probably most traditional MBA programs are going to teach them. And they're going to learn more about critical skills, problem-solving skills, that most college degrees are not going to tell them either. And most importantly, they're going to learn these rules. If you want to do something, do it. Don't have any expectations. No one's going to give it to you. Be grateful for what you get. And you're going to have to work harder. And the idea is that if they do that, hopefully they can take these rules and they can make the world a better place. Thank you.